And what I do for them is I write, I edit, I take photos. I was there
Đưa ba
last
bò cho con.
couple of weeks ago taking pictures. After I
Emily,
did that, I
Emily đưa
came
lại cho
home,
ba bò
downloaded
cho.
them, wrote some
Ba bò được
social
rồi.
media content, and quickly uploaded a Dropbox full of photos and content for Sandy and her team to use on social media platforms. So in real time, I was there working.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so it's always fun to be in the room. So we'll go ahead and advance the slide and get right into it, and I do welcome questions. I have a little bit of an unfair advantage in that I do have a background in communications. I have been told that I will be replaced by ChatGPT at some point. Hasn't happened yet, but I have been given that warning. So I'm glad everybody has those resources available to them that I did not have. And my mother was worked for Special Operations Command. She was in procurement, and I grew up around contracts. So I heard this language growing up as a child. So like I said, I have an unfair advantage. I know exactly how all of this works. I started with every request for proposal by downloading the entire RFP. And then I read every page. I don't read all the legal documentation that comes at the end, but I do read all the things that are in standard language that tell you exactly what they're looking for. And I know you're going to hear that over and over again, but it kind of reminds you of being in school where you're given a term paper or something to write and they give you specific instructions. And if you don't follow the instructions, then you're immediately disqualified. It's the same rules that apply here. And that's why when you get an RFP, when you get an opportunity, initially you're excited. But then I would ask you to block some time on your schedules because everybody's so busy to sit down for at least an hour and read it. And sometimes I read it out loud. And then I mark it, I highlight things like deadlines, formatting, how to submit, exactly what they're looking for, because then you know exactly how to break it down. And then I look at my calendar, when it's due versus when I
Thank you.
downloaded
My
it,
pleasure.
and I see how much time I actually have to pull this thing together. What gets in the way are people's schedules because you already have things on your calendar to do as a small business owner. I know you do. So finding time to write basically or pull together basically what constitutes a thesis. It's a research paper on your business takes real time. So we can go ahead and advance the slide. Thank you. This is the RFP that I responded to. And the person that's doing the demonstration is one of my graphic designers. She printed it out, she's flipping through the whole thing, and then she's letting you know, yes, you have to read that whole thing. So I appreciated her because she's like, I think we should show them. Yes, that was actually a 96-page RFP. And that's why it's important to take the time to actually understand what's in it. So now advance to the next slide and I'll let you know how I kind of break this thing down. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So before you do anything, look at your schedule. I actually write down dates on my calendar, working backwards from when it's due. I give myself at least a week prior to when it's actually due to turn it in for all the reasons that they just gave you. Technical failures, something pops up at work, somebody's late meeting their part of the day. Do not try to make the RFP deadline on the deadline. You will hurt yourself. Bad things happen. Okay, like car accidents as you're racing through traffic to run. This is not a movie. It won't work. Call your team together. And I know that most of us are one person or maybe two people operations, but for those of us who have a team, call them together and give everybody their deadlines after they read the parts of the RFP that pertain to them. My team always includes an editor, an attorney, and a notary. I've always had those things since I launched my business, and including a CPA, and a graphic designer. But an editor, if you don't know one, I can recommend one to you. If you don't have an attorney, I'm sure somebody in your family knows one. And a notary, because a lot of these pages have to be notarized to prove that you are who you say you are. And finding a notary at the last minute is awful work. I have existing RFPs.
Yeah.
So if you do, select the closest one. But if you don't, I start with sections. Do you have a resume? Does everybody on your team who's going to contribute to this project have a resume or a biography? Do you have a narrative about
Coi
your
chừng nóng
company?
cỡ.
You may think that you do, but check your website. If you don't have a website, check your LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, then it's time to write your narrative. Who are you? What do you do well? Basically, who are you and what do you do well? I know those are simple questions, but believe me, if you're in an elevator with a potential client, it's called an elevator speech. If you can't nail that, then you don't know who you are and you don't know what you do. If you have potential previous contracts, pull them up, look at them. And this is one thing that catches me all the time. Are your certifications and licenses up to date? Are they? Did you pay the bill to the city? Did you pay the bill to the county? Do you have all that stuff at the ready? Is it scanned in? Is it somewhere you can easily access it? I keep all my stuff, believe it or not, on my phone in a scan app that I can download quickly. And do you know what you charge for each of your services? Do you have an hourly rate? Do you have a project rate? You can't start making it up when it's time to do the RFP. These are things that you should already have a working idea of. If you don't, create one. If you do, make sure that it's up to date. Inflation is real. And if you have to go to somebody who supplies you things, supplies you whatever, printing services, nails, trucking services, check with them and double check what their rates are. So when you start putting your cost estimate together, it's accurate and it's as of April 2025, and you're not working with rates that applied in 2021, because again, inflation is real. Okay, advance to the next slide. Okay, when you go into Demand Star, they have information about the RFP or the RFQ or whatever, or the estimate, and they do hold meetings to answer questions, and you can pose questions. So as you're reading the RFP, as your team is reading the RFP, if you had any question at all, don't guess. Guessing is bad. Ask questions. And because they expect them. And just like in class, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I guarantee you that somebody else has a question. And they have to keep track of all those questions and all those answers for everybody who's bidding. So it's really important to not guess. And then remain on schedule. On top of everything else that you're doing, this is really the challenge, is to keep checking your schedule to make sure that you're eating a little bit of the elephant every day. I never try to do an RFP in one city. I actually try and schedule working on it 1 hour every day until I'm done. And I know that sounds really disciplined, but if I don't do it that way, then you're cramming for a test and it gets really ugly. And then if you follow up with people, you do become a project manager. If you're wondering what this is, yes, you are project managing this, because you have to check in with each of your team members as they're working to make sure that they're not stuck. Somebody's not sick. Somebody is gathering the rates. Somebody is double checking that the licenses are up to date. They all need to be hitting their marks. One person can torpedo the whole process if they don't come through with the missing part on time. And even though I'm a writer, I was married to an editor for 20 years, and I still call that man. I send him this RFP because he has fresh eyes, and he is a ruler man. Okay, I think he gets some perverse joy, but that's okay because when he gives it back to me, it's marked up with all the things that I missed. He's an eagle eye, and if you just have somebody who has never read it before and who's willing, they qualify because they're going to catch when you're missing a word. They're going to catch when something doesn't make any sense. They're going to catch it, and they're going to say, you got to fix this. I like to give him at least 3 days to review because a good editor will read it once, put it down, and then pick it back up again. And then before, I don't want you to put your RFP down once you've read it. It is a working guideline. Keep going back to it and checking off the parts that are highlighted as you make steady progress through it. I called up the RFP outline before this workshop, and I saw that I had put together like a multi-page Word doc, and then I had the tabs at the top, this section, and then in red I said, this is going to go here, due from graphic designer on this date. I need to get her resume, I need to get her rates, I need to call a printer, I need to get his rates, and I had sections in each of the Word doc that indicated what I was missing, who owed it to me, when it was due, and so I would keep going back to make sure that I was filling in all of the gaps. And then submitting the RFP on time and in the specified format, and you're going to hear that because you do not want to do all of this work and be disqualified on a technicality. It is just heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. So with the cities, they wanted it printed out twice. They wanted a copy. And they wanted it on a jumbo drive. They wanted it on an external drive, 2 copies. 1 original, 1 copy. I printed out all that paper. I put it in 2 separate envelopes, labeled both of the envelopes, and included the jump drive, and included all of that in one big package. And then a week before the deadline, I dropped it off at the city, and I got a receipt that I had dropped it off. It is a process. It is a process. So you have to reverse engineer. I think I got one more slide left. Yeah, I'm going to be redundant. You can read at the top. Taxes, certifications, licenses, anything that requires somebody else's help, make sure that you have that in hand and it's current, because they don't care when you rush up and you say, can you please renew my license?